Hey everybody, and welcome back to ThreadX3 Productions. And today we're going to be doing a best and most disappointing of the year for both video games and movies. So I am Nick.
And I am Nate, and I am sorry that I am still trying to water these crackers down. Goodness, I've saltine
Oh
to
my
my mouth, and I'm
gosh.
just...
You know, we could get banned from Twitch by using the word cracker. Okay, so how about we just be a little careful there?
Okay, let me... My mouth is really dry from eating white people. I'm sorry. Is that better?
Do you know what I'm referring to there?
Kind of, sort of. It's one of those...
Hassan something. He's a kind of liberal commentator or whatever. He usually streams like 8 hours a day just talking about like political stuff. And he used the term cracker and he got banned from Twitch for it. Because
I mean, I guess the Proud Boys were happy about that. I don't know.
Some jackass out there was like, oh, I'm offended. Well, they were definitely fake offended. I don't think anybody, literally anybody, I don't think anybody's actually genuinely offended by the term cracker.
They are by
Even in the right? Even in the term of like that dumbass cracker or whatever, it's like, I don't know, like who would be genuinely. Anyways, let's get into movies and games. What should we do first?
I say probably movies first, honestly.
I'm gonna flip a coin. Okay, heads,
flip that coin.
Movies, tails, games. All right, so tails. We'll do games first.
Okay.
All right, so we're just going to do our favorite and our most disappointing of the year, just so that we're not talking for too long, because this is probably already going to be a pretty long episode, I think. So, all right, we'll start with you for the games, and for me, we'll start with the movies or whatever. So what's your favorite, and then I'll go, and then you'll go.
Well, so I can tell you right off the bat, my game for this year is not going to be a game that was released in 2021. It's
Okay.
more than likely going to be a 2020 game, just because...
I mean, time has no meaning now, so
yeah, that's
I'll
fair.
allow it.
That's fair. And the CDC says nothing fucking matters. So, with this, like, these are games that I played in 2021, but came out in 2020. So I still feel like they count. I think for me, it was going to be Ghost of Tsushima. Because that's what I played at the beginning of the year and fell in love with and platinumed.
Nice.
I think Miles kind of beat that out of the corner.
Oh, really? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So what about open world New York City that, you know, no offense to the developers, we've seen multiple times, makes it better than feudal Japan, big open world type of thing? What makes Miles better?
Honestly, I think when I'm comparing the two of these, it comes down to, I think Ghost being a little bit too ambiguous for me. Maybe not ambiguous, too
ambitious.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those, like, I was playing Ghost of Tsushima primarily whenever I had COVID at the beginning of the year. So I mean, I was definitely playing it like front to back, like I was just going through. I was off work, and you know, it was daunting. That's a better word. Is there was a lot of times where I was playing it, and I did feel daunting until maybe the second 2/3 act, and then everything kind of started to domino. Where
did it feel dauntless?
Moving on. Whereas with Spider-Man, this is something that I was already familiar with, just because I was recently playing, you know, the normal Spider-Man. Right. But what ended up beating out Ghost of Tsushima for me is the fact of how much I connected to Spider-Man Miles Morales. I you know, obviously Pigment, I can't connect to Miles on a cultural level since I'm not Puerto Rican, I'm not African American. So what ended up surprising me is the story that they told and how natural it was a sequel to Spider-Man 1. I mean, the whole thing with his relationship with his dad, you know, Jefferson Davis. Excuse me. Hold on. Whew.
There's a little mocha for you.
Yeah. Anyways, the whole
label out.
You know, in Into the Spider-Verse, we've seen the dynamic between Miles and his dad, but with this one, we saw his dad give his life as a hero, and you know, for me, you know, I lost my dad last year. And so one of the things that really kind of made it click that much more for me, and as far as like, okay, this is a column in the win, is there's a side mission where your mom is basically it's a birthday scavenger hunt where you're hunting these postcards, and on the back of each postcard is a USB drive. And what it is before the event that happened with the bombing at the city hall, mm-hmm. your dad had recorded these messages for your birthday for your scavenger hunt. And so like I'm like, God damn. And it was that, but also like one of the side missions is you're doing sound design shit. Like you're going through and getting samples, and I'm like,
I could definitely see that like clicking with you.
I'm like, yeah, right. But everything about it, like I just felt like completing the side. Did you beat Miles front to back?
No, not yet, but I got a good portion of the way through, and then just kind of the holidays happened pretty much.
Okay, so the sound sample side mission, when you beat that and you unlock, the suit, the
Prowler suit.
The Prowler suit, I kept that thing on for the longest time because it's like it felt genuine, like it felt like a genuine connection with that character with my uncle, you know. Yeah. And so yeah, it was just, it ended up being just that much more special to me. And on a personal level, technical level, they perfected everything that they did in the first Spider-Man.
Yeah, definitely.
The format of it, the fact of how they were able to build on that relationship with Genki and Miles and separate and show how different this Miles is. And honestly, makes me kind of nervous about Spider-Man 2 because I'm like, they got to really do something special with Peter. Otherwise, I'm going to only want to play as Miles.
Yeah. I mean, from my end, Miles Morales really just kind of started off as an excuse to talk about something because I was looking for like Christmas related things. And I'm like, oh, Miles Morales is that? Oh, it's on sale? Yeah, let's play it. So originally it was just like this excuse to talk about something because it was Christmas related. But on the back end, after now I've played it or whatever, it's like, I'm so glad I made that excuse because yeah, it's just such a good game in so many ways. Because even the original Spider-Man, what I loved about all the side objectives, and they do the same thing in Miles Morales, is that each side objective means something. So even if you're hunting down, like you said, the sound things, it's like you're not just hunting down these random, floating pages or floating feathers or some bullshit that you do in Assassin's Creed, right? No, these actually mean something because this is from your uncle. And especially the more you get into the story, you and your uncle's relationship is complicated. So like finishing these sound bites or whatever is just so cool. And it brings meaning to going around and doing fetch quests. Some of them are still fetch questy because like you're picking up like the underground boxes. Those are pretty fetch questy. But then some of the side missions themselves like mean so much and actually very multifaceted. The one I'll keep going back to is the one where the water pipes burst at the feast center. And so then first you have to go to some thing along the river and you have to clear trash out of a pipe so that it doesn't build up pressure. And then you have to go to 3 separate pipe things and make the pressures just right or whatever. And so then you finally go back and yay, Spider-Man saved the day. So it's like most side missions are very much just like, hey, go here, fetch this thing for somebody and then go back.
Yeah.
But Miles Morales, like the one with the cat, I was so surprised how multifaceted. It very much could have been like, hey, go over here, get my cat and bring it back. But it's like, no, you go inside a building, you like start up a bunch of power stuff. Like it seemed like a main mission, but this is a mission you could easily miss. Go ahead, because I know it's your favorite.
Let me tell you, that cat, oh my God. So have you unlocked the cat skin?
No.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be your favorite thing because like that thing, it's so animated. So for one, on certain finishers, he'll come out of the backpack and like swat the guy and like be the final hit. And then there was one time where it just kind of looks cool because it's like, yeah, I'm Spider-Man, but I got a hoodie on and I'm just kind of chilling. Like it's very much a chill kind of Spider-Man vibe. And There was one where I just went to a crime and was beat up, all the bad guys. I wasn't really paying attention to the cat. I was making sure he was safe and all, but I wasn't watching his animation. And after I got done, he just out of the backpack was like, kind of went like that. He's also wearing a Spider-Man mask, and it's the cutest thing. But going back to what you're saying, everything matters in that game. And what Insomniac has done a perfect job at is being able to naturally stitch all of those little side objectives together. And you brought up a great example with the
water pipes. Yeah.
Well, no, with the feathers when you're talking about Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed 2, I got 1,000% on Xbox. I got the platinum on PS3 and the platinum on PS4, bragging or whatever. So I'm also saying I have gone through that fetch quest of doing those feathers multiple times. Each and every single time, it is one of the last things that I did, because what I would do is pull up a map, stick my feet up in the air, put on a podcast, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to do this for a few hours.
Yeah.
While that's fun, it's very video gamey and it breaks the immersion.
Yep.
Whereas where in this, let's say I completed a mission, you're like, hey, you know what? Before I do another main mission, let me check my side objectives to see what I can do. Like, the game is naturally having me do that.
Well, and the game naturally is like, oh, I have to wait until someone calls me, so let me go do it. Naturally gives you time to go do stuff. Yeah.
But once you unlock all the suits, I'm basically at the point now where all I have to do is play New Game Plus and get those trophies, and then I'll have the platinum. But I'm going to wait a little bit because I also do want to replay it on PS5. So it's kind of one of those. I think I'm going to
transfer your save over. So
pretty much.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
But when you unlock all the other suits, go ahead and, because they're going to be the easiest to knock out, do the hollow missions. Knock those out, because the suit that you get is the one where you look like Daft Punk, and it's fucking awesome. It's just so passion project. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like a DLC release. As much as I love Freedom Cry from Assassin's Creed 4, it still feels like Assassin's Creed with a different character. This just feels different. Yeah. And it's incredible.
Yeah, even though it is a spin-off. Nothing.
That's all
for a second there, I was like, nothing? Seriously? Even though it's a spin-off, it does feel like a sequel to it. So even though we are getting Spider-Man 2, this feels like the sequel, even though it technically isn't. So it's like, if this is what we get on a spin-off, what are we going to get on the actual sequel? And that's probably the most exciting thing about this. It's like, oh my God, this is going to be even better. You know what I mean? So yeah. All right. So my number one game of the year, literally without question, is It Takes Two. It actually won Game of the Year for the Video Game Awards or whatever, and it 1000% deserves it, because oh my God, I don't know how to explain it other than the biggest achievement that it has is the fact that there are actually, I said that really weird. There are actually 20 different game genres in this one game. And the way you switch from one game genre to the next, 1 second you'll be doing a regular ass puzzle platformer. And then all of a sudden you switch to a top-down Diablo RPG style game where you're doing hacking and slashing, asymmetrical. And it's like, the way it switches between them, it doesn't feel jarring. It doesn't feel like what I played the entire thing through with my wife, and she's a gamer, but she's not a gamer like me. So the fact that we could go from one genre to the next, to the next, to the next, and she was in no way bothered by it. She was in no way confused by it. Because, one thing that is always hard to get her to play games is that she doesn't want to learn something new. Mm-hmm. And in this game, you are literally learning something new every 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how much you lollygag. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, or maybe 15 to 20 is more accurate, but still, depending on the level, you could be playing it for 15 minutes, and then boom, here's a completely different mechanic that they add in. And the way that they naturally do, like, they do like one problem that's super easy, and then they just go into it. You know, so you have one that's super obvious. Okay, this is how you use this power. And then here's 8 more situations where you have to use the power, but you actually have to use a little bit of thinking, you know? And it's like, oh my God, I cannot believe that it's not that, like, let me be clear. It's not that they pulled it off. It's that they pulled it off so well. You know, 1 second you're platforming and you're just jump over here. Okay, jump over here. Then you do this to make this swing up, you know, so super simple, right? And the next, I'm flying a miniature plane while Ashley beats up a squirrel on the wings.
Okay.
And it's just like, what is this game? Like, so many times it's just like, oh my God. There's just like, there's so much going on, but it's in such a simplistic way that it's just like, oh, okay. So once again, one second you're just platforming, doing some things, and next I'm piloting a boat while my wife shoots cannons from it.
You're definitely putting, like, giving me a lot more reason to go back to it. So what's funny is I did play It Takes Two. Hold on, I just had a funny realization. Yeah. I'm okay. Hold on. You'll laugh whenever I say this. Okay. So I did play It Takes Two this year. And I played it with my girlfriend.
Okay.
As I had yet to file for divorce itself.
Okay.
We have been separated. So for context, we've been separated at this time, but I just had that funny realization. But no, we, by your recommendation, you're like, you gotta play It Takes Two. You gotta play It Takes Two. One night we were like, yeah, let's play this game. Cause recently, I think before that we had played A Way Out, and,
nice.
For about like a couple hours or so. And, we got in and we're like, yeah. And then when within the first 5 to 10 minutes, and it's like the hard divorce thing, both of us went, fuck, didn't realize that was the thing. Like, and so I think that kind of took us aback so much that it's not that it turned us off, but we very much were like, okay.
It's too fresh, right?
Yeah. And so we were like, and so we kind of played through the first, we basically played through the first level. And then when we got to the second, I think it was later anyway, so we went to bed shortly around that and just didn't pick it back up. Yeah. But you saying that, because I thought about playing it the other night, and then we ended up playing something else. But I'm gonna throw that in there and be like, you know, let's do this.
Yeah. It deserves Game of the Year, and especially when I saw that it was nominated, I'm like, please, that needs, not only is it deserve it because it's so well put together, but it deserves it because it's an indie studio. This isn't a AAA. Technically, EA did their whole like EA Underground or whatever the hell it's called or whatever. So it's like technically it's an EA game, but it is for all intents and purposes a independent game.
Yeah.
So the fact that an independent game was able to win Game of the Year, it's like it deserves it enough just for that alone. But then it also deserves it because of just how good it is.
Yeah.
Like my only negative is the characters because, you know, it's I guess super obvious that you know, okay, you know, here's these two people and they're just always bickering or whatever, and then the book character, so there's only really like 3 characters, and then the book character is just like obnoxiously annoying, but like obnoxiously annoying on purpose. But it's like in a perfect game, this knocks it down by like 5 points. You know what I mean? Like the story is just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. But still, it's like the gameplay and just how much they're able to do and how little time. And yet, like I said, you have a somewhat non-gamer, which she is a gamer. We play like Fortnite together. We play Black Ops Zombies together. You know what I mean? Like, so we play games together. But still, for somebody who doesn't normally like trying new stuff, for her to have to try a new thing every 15 to 20 minutes, like that is testament alone that they did it so fucking well. So So let's go from that high note to the lowest of well, no. These aren't going to be the worst games, or they could be, but it's really just what were we disappointed this year for video games. So
I'm going to go ahead and just go with an easy answer overall. Just when we're looking at my specific hype level of things, I think it definitely has to be Battlefield 2042.
Oh yeah.
And for me, the reason is I knew going into this year that Vanguard was probably going to be a disappointment, or basically the way that it had been portrayed to me is this game looks technically cool, but it definitely seems like a game that it doesn't seem like you put all your eggs in your basket there like they did for Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was just going to be a Call of Duty to put out for that year. And so I didn't have any high expectations for it to begin with. Battlefield 2042, we see this.
Hold on. So you didn't have high hopes. You didn't high hopes. And the high apples high in the sky hopes. You didn't have that? No? Okay. You know what that's from, right?
Yes, I do. I was trying to think of the other line to it, and I can't. So now I feel embarrassed.
Oops, there goes. Oop.
Someone, real quick, we could put this in like B-roll. Someone made a point the other day that made me really fucking laugh. It was like, for some reason in the late 1990s, we thought it was a really good idea to put out 2 movies about ants, and then thought it wasn't a good idea after that and never went back to it. Anyway. Yeah, so for me, it definitely would be Battlefield 2042, just based on the fact that when you had sent me the original stuff from E3, and I was like, yeah, this looks like it's going to be hype. And then we got our hands on the beta, and it was a steaming pile of absolute dog shit, especially on base PS4. And, I had same sentiment me and you did. Pretty much the internet did, except for Drifter. And the whole sentiment was delay this game. This game does not need to come out in 3 months. But it was an old build. It doesn't matter. Like, there's other stuff that's wrong with this game besides the technical quality of the game. Yet it came out, and what happened? It was a cooled down steaming pile of shit.
Right.
But like it was like there was some stuff that like it did play better. It was playable, and better. Well, at least with and God, what is the fucking name of it? What's the best client? What's the best part of 2042? Portal? Yeah, Portal. And it's like Portal, it's fun. Like I like it. It's but is it worth a $60 purchase? Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, either Hazard Zone or Portal should have been just free.
Yeah,
and then you pay extra to get the other stuff. Yeah,
I think I would have paid $20 for Portal. Like if
definitely.
I think that would have been I think they probably would have tried to sell it at 40, which would have been like but okay, right. Yeah. But yeah, Hazard Zone should have been free.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, because it is really just a game mode. It's not even like fully fleshed out. Like you can't even get attachments for the most part. I think if you do it just right, you can get attachments. But I swear, so like the way you get attachments is I think by having your default gun set up a certain way. But even then, I know for a fact I had attachments on a certain gun, but it wouldn't put the attachments on. So I'm thinking that it was just a bug. That for the first like week or so, like you didn't get attachments even though you had attachments. So it's like it was just really frustrating having to do my fucking crosshairs.
And one thing I'll say to add on there, I don't know if this was an issue by the developers. When it comes to stuff like this and these kind of situations, I am absolutely adamant that it comes down to the publisher and comes down to like corporate, like money. But how fucking dare you change Battlefield stuff and not give any sort of intro tutorial of any kind, let alone so like the only reason I don't feel like there's anything that like brings me in warmly to the experience. Like the beta didn't for sure. I didn't have any sort of tutorial like video or any sort of like tutorial thing that was like, hey, this is the new mechanics. This is how the game works.
Okay.
Just basically thrown in being like, hey, here you go, play. And it's like, well, you guys changed Battlefield. And so my first 2, 3, 4 matches are me getting used to the game, which doesn't allow for a smooth player experience.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
That's just my I mean, like it's definitely a close second, I think, for my biggest disappointment. And I think it is really just because of the hype going into it. And I mean, marketing, hey, you did your job, guys. Good job marketing, but it really did kind of seem like a return to form. Even though we were getting specialists instead of classes, which I will argue, and, you know, I still believe this, I would argue that the specialists are fine. You know, I
don't know.
I don't really see. Huh?
I don't know what the fuck they do. I never used any of their abilities.
Well, watch my video. Specialist ranked, and you'll figure out what they do. Anyways, like I like the specialist. I mean, how hard me and you got into Apex, obviously, it was pretty much just like Apex characters in Battlefield, and then you could kind of customize it from there. So it's like I actually like that. I feel like people didn't really. It was like, oh, something new, and people just got really pissed off at it. I think it's fine. Like, people are like, oh, the classes aren't there. It's like, no, you have a healer, you have a scout, you have a person that gives you ammo, and you have a person that is like an RPG expert. So you have all those, but since it's not set up exactly the same as you're used to, you're being a little bitch. I'm sorry. Like, that's all I'm going to say is that you're being a little bitch because, like an engineer, for instance, like there's one girl that has a wingsuit and then she has a grenade belt. On the grenade belt, you can have a grenade that auto locks onto somebody, and it takes about the same amount of grenades than it would for an RPG. But the difference is that those grenades recharge and an RPG doesn't unless you get ammo from somebody. So in my opinion, that's actually better. Then you have the healer. The healer is Falk. She has the syringe gun. And then you have the ammo person, which is Ungel. He does that. And then you have a scout who has like the little drone or whatever. So it's like they have the Klauses. What?
I said, you just say words? Is that all it is?
Yeah.
It just sounded like a
bunch of like... They have the classes is my point. They have the classes. It's just not typical, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then I would argue they have a bunch of classes in there that like offer up new ways to play the game. You know what I mean? Now you have a character that's like Bloodhound and she sees through walls and shit like that, you know? So anyways, so I'm going to defend to the death, apparently, specialist, because I genuinely think people just overreact and was being whiny little bitches about the specialist. Everything else about the game, I will 100% agree with you. It's buggy. It's unfit. It should have been delayed. I will agree on everything else about the game but the specialist, because I really feel like because the game was in such a bad, they just kind of latched onto the specialist and but it's like you know when you're mad about something and so then you kind of just, well, while I'm mad I'm just gonna complain about this. So like yeah so bad game. I've actually stopped playing it. I think I played a good amount of it for the first week and a half. It had to have been 2.5 weeks, because I played it for a week where I got like the early access, and it played okay. As soon as the general public came in, the special edition, basically, as soon as the general public came in, that game fucking fell apart. So I got to the point where I didn't want to play the game anymore until at least the first battle pass came out, because I didn't really feel like I was working towards anything anyways, other than, yeah, I get new guns or whatever, but I didn't feel like I was working towards something. Battle passes, love them or hate them, it does at least make you feel like you're working towards something. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait for that first battle pass, because there's like a 90% chance that with the battle pass will also come like a overhaul of a lot of things. So it's like, instead of just playing it and getting annoyed with it, because it's definitely by the second week, by the end of the second week, when all the people came in,
mm-hmm.
by the end of that week, anytime I'd get on, I'd be like, I just want to play you. I just want to play and have fun. Why are you doing this to me? So it was hard to actually have fun, but just because it's like, oh, well, my loadouts don't work. Oh, well, this doesn't work. Oh, well, this happened. I go up to revive somebody. It's like, I can't revive them. Like, so many little things. It's just like, Jesus Christ, guys. Anyways, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, 2021 has been a very interesting year when it comes to gaming because, we, of course, had the whole Activision Blizzard controversy, which we've talked about at length. And it just, I honestly think that we're at a precipice of people getting tired of corporate bullshit. Like, we had not CD Projekt. Well, yes, but we had Cyberpunk last year. We had all the stuff with Activision Blizzard this year, all the corporate bullshit culture. And then we also have all the stuff with like Battlefield 2042 and even Vanguard, and just like basically we're seeing development needs to be completed and it's not, and we're kind of getting to that boiling point, I think, personally. But I will leave the game thing off with I do want to give a honorable mention for the year.
Okay.
Because there's a game that I had seen on TikTok earlier this year that had been shared around. And I follow a lot of the like ambient kind of shit, like just because that's my style. And so this thing popped up and was like, "Hey, I'm developing this game. It's going to come out on Game Pass. So you guys should check it out." And it always looked really cool. The game's called XO1.
Sounds familiar.
It is. Let me find it.
Well, here, while you're looking it up, I'll just talk about corporations and how they fucking suck. So corporations, yes, that is probably the thing. I feel like it's kind of like what you were saying, like it's been building for a while and now we're reaching our boiling point, because Battlefield 2042 is the perfect example of something that should have been delayed. And I think if we were talking about DICE themselves, because I think it's hard to keep this in mind when you're so mad about a game. But one thing is, the person who does all the animations for the reloading of the guns, like that's their job. They're not thinking to themselves, oh my God, I can't wait for this game to come out all broken. The person who deals with the terrain and how it looks, they're not thinking to themselves, just get it out. I don't care if it's broken. The person who is in charge of the vehicles and how they control, they are not going, get this out, I need it out right now. No. All of those people, all the people actually making the individual parts of the game, nobody's sitting there thinking to themselves, oh my God, I just can't wait till this is out and everybody's pissed off at me. But 100,000 million bajillion % EA is just like, well, I want to make money. And that's all they fucking care about. So, all right, you sent me something. So you want to set this up?
So, yeah, I actually wanted to end kind of the game portion off with an honorable mention. This is a game.
You do realize I haven't done my disappointment, right? But yes, you can end your segment of the game. Go on.
God damn it. I didn't even realize that.
It's okay. It's okay. Mine's super obvious. I hope it's super obvious.
It is.
You know what it is, right?
Yeah, it is super
obvious.
Okay,
go ahead.
So this is something that I had seen on TikTok, earlier in the year. Someone's like, hey, I'm developing this game. Like, check it out. It looks really cool and vibey and ambient. And if you're a, someone who, does certain recreational things, this has a really cool vibe to it. And I got my hands on it last night because I realized it was on Game Pass, completely forgot about it. Yeah. And it's a very simple game as far as the mechanics of what you're doing. You're literally...
Oh, yeah, this one. See, I knew it sounded familiar.
Yeah. It's so satisfying to play.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm trying to think of something... trying to find the biggest comparison I can to it, but pretty much here you're getting the mechanics down to what you can do, and then wait till it gets to the gliding. It's just like,
because you like turn into like a little disc, right?
Yeah, you could turn your
Oh shit! I didn't mean.
And the sound design on it is actually pretty good too. Like it's got a real good it's just It's just so yeah. And what's cool is that the energy drains as you're flying, so you have to gain momentum, and so it's just it's
wow. Yeah, I could definitely see popping some edibles and just be like,
oh yeah, 100%. So yeah, this is it's developed by Expletive is the name.
Nice.
Published by Future Friends Games, and it came out
Look at the way like the raindrops, like that is so fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it's also on PC. It should be on PC Game Pass, so if you want to download it,
I think I might. So what's the objective? You're just like going from point A to point B, or is it kind of just?
So it's different planets, I believe. From my understanding, I think you're supposed to be getting. You're supposed to be getting to where that angular beam is, or that beam. I don't know what happens when you get there because I haven't gotten that far, but it's like a puzzle game. It's kind of like a puzzle.
Right. Yeah, this looks really cool. Yeah. Okay, I could see why you'd be interested in that. All right, my turn. You ready?
Kinda, yeah.
If anybody pays even just a little bit of attention to our channel, you will not be surprised at all by my biggest disappointment video game of the year, and that is Back 4 Blood. How disappointed am I? Well, I decided to make an hour-long documentary video essay, whatever,
to let you know
about how another game is actually better than this game. And I 100,000% stand by it, because here's the thing about Back 4 Blood. Here's the thing. You ready for it? You ready for that thing? I first saw Back 4 Blood, and my hype level was, let's say, here. I'm like, okay, this is really cool. I can't wait to try it out. I tried the alpha out, which was pretty much right after they announced it. And I'm like, oh, this is just Left 4 Dead, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why it wasn't like, oh, this is Left 4 Dead, instead of, oh, this is just Left 4 Dead. The reason why it was different is because the marketing was very much like, you know, we created this genre and then we're gonna make it better. And then I played the alpha and I'm like, no, this is Left 4 Dead 3. This isn't another game with wildly different. And I mean, like, if you go back and you watch the original like reveal of the gameplay, they have like all their different developers and they're all talking about how excited they are about making the game and yada yada yada. And at least 3 to 4 separate times throughout the entire video, you have 3 to 4 different people talking about how this is going to be an evolution on the gameplay that they created.
Yep, that's the was.
And it's like, no, it fucking isn't. So okay, so hype level here, alpha. I'm like, the alpha basically got me to go like, okay, I'm gonna play this game. And that's it. Like, it wasn't like, I can't wait for this game to come out. I'm going to pre-order it. I'm going to get the Ultra Edition so I get all the Season Pass, blah. No, it's just basically, yeah, I'm going to play this game. And that was it. Like, that was my hype level from all the way up here. Like, yes, Left 4 Dead 3, let's freaking go. By the same makers? Okay, let's fucking go. And then it was just like, oh yeah, I'll play it. Now, I set all of that up for a specific reason. And that is that I went from all the way up here to all the way to, oh yeah, I'm going to play it, to this game fucking sucks. And for you to disappoint me on a game that, yeah, I'm just going to play, like, that's my attitude going into it, that, oh yeah, I'll play it. For you to actually somehow disappoint me more than already being disappointed, that is a feat. That is a feat to behold.
And folks, let me tell you this. As someone who watched that said hour-long video, disappointment carries throughout all the sections where he talks about this game. Now, that was one of the things that really struck me the most. Like, because with the video, I watched it, you know, during a couple different sittings, and every time I would listen to you talk about Back 4 Blood, especially when you're talking about the character designs, I almost pictured this wom, bom, 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 playing in the background. Like, because you were just like, yeah, here's your 3 characters, which is actually just a variation of the one. And like, you can hear it in your voice. And it was really funny. But You're right. I mean, it's one of those that my hype level for this was like I really was just kind of like with you on it. I was just kind of like riding with you. I was like, yeah, it sounds cool. Like I miss Left 4 Dead 2. Like, yeah, I'm all here for Left 4 Dead 3. Let's try it out. What got me, I think, was the card system. The card system and just basically that whole kind of shtick and shit. I'm like, I'm not here for it. I don't want to do it. Like, and that's why I don't play a lot of stuff like, you know, Dead by Daylight and those kind of things. And even with Battlefront 1 and 2, when they threw like the card stuff in there, it's like, I don't care. I don't want that customization. Just give me the fucking game.
Right. And I mean, like, yeah, so I put it in the video, so this will be somewhat of a repeat, but it's like, the card system might have made sense as far as being able to customize yourself, but the fact that some missions can last 2 minutes and then you're on to the next mission means that I just picked a card for an encounter. Not a level, an encounter. So now I have to choose another card, and then 5 minutes later I do another. And I put it in the video where it's like I show you loading, I show you waiting for that random person to get ready, choose your cards, go to the store. Then the level itself, I think it was like ×8 for all the stuff that was loading, then ×16 for the actual gameplay, and then boom, it was over again, and there you are, another loading screen, another level, another waiting for everybody to ready up, another store, another, like, Jesus fucking Christ, who thought this was a good idea? These are the fucking people who made the goddamn game, and not one of them thought to themselves, you know what actually made Left 4 Dead good? Like, there wasn't a single fucking person in the room that's like, hey guys, you know what actually made the game good? This. Nobody in the goddamn room thought that. And like, I 100% stand by it. World War Z and World War Z Aftermath for that matter, because it made it first person, is so much better. Because it actually feels like Left 4 Dead 3. It actually feels like it, and it actually plays like it. Whereas this is a cheap knockoff, but somehow it's the same people who fucking made it.
And I think that's the
infuriates me.
Yeah, that's the worst part of the disappointment, is because my memories with Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 are my buddy Simon coming over to my house and telling me about stuff that he noticed from the game direction, because that's what he wanted to go to school for, was game direction. And so he would be like, and we even played with the director's commentary on a couple different times. And so he would show me points, and he'd be like, look at this. And to see the cleverness and to see how the game was designed, it's like, oh, that's great. And then to see this, it's like, what the fuck is this? Like, it literally, it kind of goes back to what we talked about before of the corporatism. Like, that's kind of what it seems like. It's, hey, we're going to mark this up, we're going to revolutionize, and hey, we just made a game that's kind of similar and with stuff that's put together kind of similarly, so you won't notice that we just kind of threw something together in a game.
Yeah. It's genuinely sad. And so now Tencent has bought Turtle Rock, and we're supposed to expect that Tencent's just going to let them do whatever they want, and they're going to regain, or they're going to keep their independence. It's like, okay, if keeping your independence means that you're going to still make shitty games, then I don't give a fuck, because you've already disappointed me. Like, oh my God, I just like, if the hour-long video wasn't enough to make it obvious that that was my disappointment, I hope this big-ass rant was, because dear fucking God, such a goddamn disappointment. And the thing is that, like, is it a bad game? No, it's not a bad game. But I do not understand how you can do a classic, an all-time classic like Left 4 Dead series, and then and actually think to yourself and release this as better.
It kind of almost.
Let me tell you my background of Left 4 Dead, and this will make it really super obvious as to why it means so much to me. Okay, so I was getting married, and we had a bachelor party. I didn't want a bachelor party where it was like going to strippers and stuff like that. One, because that's super cliche. Shut the fuck up. One, because that's super fucking cliche. And two, that's just never been me. I'm the person who waited for marriage to have sex. So I'm not interested in other women's boobies, okay? I mean, I am, but only when I'm alone. Anyways. So there was a I just, like, so what did we do for my bachelor party? There was 4 of us, and we played Left 4 Dead 4. Or Left 4 Dead. Yep. God, we're so we went forward in time in an alternate universe. We played Left 4 Dead 2, and we played all the way through it. So, like, it has a place in my heart, you know. And I feel like even if somehow this is your first version of this game, like if you never played World War Z, if you never played literally any other game that tried to copy Left 4 Dead, I still just don't think it's a great game, and that just sucks. So yeah. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna ask. I feel like, would you say it's accurate? It's kind of similar to the Halo 5 situation, to where the marketing pretty much betrayed and made the game worse. Because if you think back to it, the whole marketing with Halo 5 was, oh, Chief is gone rogue. We've got to get Spartan Lock. Yeah. I mean, they had fucking podcasts and books and other shit about this. And the game you play, and instead of like, hey, Chief, don't do that. And he's like, fuck you. I'm going to go find Cortana. I'm going to stop you. Poop pop. Oh, damn, he ran. Like that. Like, so... That's kind of how it feels to me. It's like the marketing was like, we're going to do this. And you're like, guys, I feel like you put more money in your marketing than you did this.
Well, they were just trying to hype it up. And I mean, like, if they just would have said, we're doing Left 4 Dead, but prettier, I would have been okay with that. Like, my expectations wouldn't have been up here, right? But since they literally said, there was literally a part in the thing where they said, we're not just doing Left 4 Dead, but with better graphics. We're evolving it. And if their idea of evolving it is the card system, it's like, yeah, you fucking failed. Like, so
failure.
All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do our disappointments for movies first, and then our favorites, so that way we can end on a more cheery note. Okay, so like I said, I was gonna start with the disappointments. So biggest disappointment movie wise of the year was actually The Matrix Resurrection. So you have not seen this yet,
correct?
Right? Okay, I won't give too much away. What I will mainly say is that I think the number one thing that was just so obvious is Keanu's getting pretty old. There were so many opportunities where they could have done this like cool fight sequence, and instead he's like, force power. I'm just gonna force push you because I'm mad at you. Like, nah. Like keep in mind, like he done a lot of his own stunts in like John Wick 1, 2, and 3. You know what I mean? So it's like he's done his own stunt work in there, and then for this, like, just nah. Like, there's even a movie. It's called The Man of Tai Chi or something like that. And he kind of plays the central antagonist, where at the end he's fighting somebody, and he's fighting somebody that's okay. This sounds bad, but he's fighting somebody who is Asian and half his age. But in that movie, him being the age he was at the time, which, I mean, maybe he was, you know, high 40s, low 50s. I mean, he's in his 50s now, right? So it had to have been like mid to high 40s. And that was so much more believable. So much more. And maybe if I prepare you, you won't be as disappointed when you watch it. But one thing that was just so on the nose is, so the backstory is Neo is, you know, I don't know, Mr. Anderson, and he created a trilogy. He created a trilogy of video games called The Matrix. And so now corporate wants to make another Matrix, even though he's done with Matrix and he doesn't want to make another one. And and there's even a part where his boss is like, look, corporate's gonna make this whether or not you're a part of it. And it's like, wow, guys, could you be more on the nose? And then we actually get meetings where they're trying to like brainstorm ideas for the thing, and it's just so goddamn on the nose. Like at one time he's like, here's what it's gonna be, bullet time. And it's like, ooh, wow. Then I won't give away who it is, because it is kind of a funny, like, look who it is. But somebody, a character from previous movies, comes, but then he starts spouting off stuff like movie franchises and reboots. And it's like, he literally just says that. Nothing else. I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, there's context, obviously, but no context in the world for him bringing that shit up. Like,
yeah,
just so, wow. And I think the most disappointing thing about it is that there's a lot of ideas in it that I actually really like. So once you get past all the fucking bullshit of the first act, and we actually get into the real meat of the story, the concepts, the story beats, and everything I really, really like. But as soon as you get into like an action sequence, and he's just, yeah, like, no doubt. God, I don't want to spoil this for you, but I also need to talk about it. Take your headphones off. I'll wave at you when I'm done, okay? Ready? Okay. So there's a whole big climactic battle, and instead of there being like actual tension, he just does a bunch of force pushes. And he just goes, and then, and then, and then, and then a missile comes at him, and he's like, and then that's it. That's the climactic battle. Fuck that.
I was planning to gag up more. Damn
it. No. I just needed it for a little bit. So yeah, big disappointment. And I think that the last thing, which is totally not spoiler related, but the last thing that made this so disappointing is just how revolutionary the original Matrix was.
Mm-hmm.
They literally created a whole new style of filming, basically. And so for that to just, okay, now we're doing the corporate version of that, goes back to corporations, I guess. Like, fuck corporations, because, like, if this is what we get just to, like, check a box, and one of the Wachowskis was a part of it, not both of them, and that kind of makes you go,
why?
Like,
yeah.
Like, there's clearly a reason there. Why couldn't they have gotten both of them? I mean, one of them could have, like, sworn off movies or something like that, but... so your disappointment movie of the year.
So, unsurprising to anyone here, I'm going to change this up a little bit. I actually have 3 movies that completely disappointed me this year.
Okay,
but 2 of them are going to go in what I call the forgettables.
Okay.
So for me, and it's I don't know if it's a recency bias, I'm not really sure, but I would definitely have to say Let There Be Carnage was probably one of my most disappointing movies of the year.
Yeah.
Because we watched that, for context, after we watched No Way Home, which I know was a mistake to begin with. But I mean, we're on that Spider-Man high, so we're like, yeah, we haven't watched this yet. Let's go ahead. I had the exact same reaction as I did watching Twilight and New Moon back in the day, where I no, and to explain on that, because that's a bold statement. I'm watching this movie and I'm like, okay, yeah, the movie started. Blink. Oh, the movie's over? What the fuck happened? That's what Let There Be Carnage was, because it felt like there was a lot of it. Honestly, it felt like I was being edged the entire movie, because it was like,
it's not a good thing.
Not in this sense, because there was no great climax at the end of it. Like, it was just a lot of build up. And whenever I can say that I like the first Venom movie better, I feel like that's not great praise.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, the first Venom movie, going years forward, is good. I mean, it's a good film. Like, I'm not going to say it's a terrible film, but it's
a mediocrely good film.
There you go. And that's saying a lot. Now for the forgettables, I call them these because I either finished them and don't remember finishing them, or watched all but the last 30 minutes and was like, fuck it, I'm done.
Okay.
So the first one's going to be The Little Things. That's that God. Denzel Washington movie.
Same thing. I started that, and I think I got to the point where they first arrested what's his face, and they were like questioning him, and I think it was late, so I went to bed, and I just didn't have any desire to go back.
Very much the same.
That's funny.
Up to that point where like it was the same thing with Let There Be Carnage. It was a lot of build up for nothing. It was like when we realized there wasn't really going to be much build, like, you know, we just weren't ready to sit for the rest of it, honestly, and so we just cut it off. The other one is Chaos Walking.
Okay. Here, confession time. That is my guilty pleasure of the year. If I had a guilty pleasure of the year plaque, that would be it right there. Chaos Walking is not bad.
Do you want to know why? Do you want to know why it's in the forgettable tab? Because I found this list on Cinema Blend of the 2021 new movie releases. Chaos Walking was on here. I went, what is that movie? Saw the cast and went, oh yeah, I saw that movie. The ending is so fucking forgettable. I don't remember the ending of that movie. I remember us watching it and going, we thought that was going to be better, and then I just forgot that I watched that movie. So yeah, like those are two that I had a lot of hype going into because I love. Well, in that case, I was really hyped to see Mads Mikkelsen, Tom Holland, and Daisy Ridley in a movie, and it seemed like a cool concept, even though I know it went through development hell. And then with The Little Things, Jared Leto, Denzel Washington, Rami Malek. I mean, come on, it looked like a cool serial killer, true crime documentary, but just fucking nothing. So those are mine.
Yeah. All I'll say about Chaos Walking is I had already watched probably 2, maybe 3 videos basically breaking down scene by scene of why it was such a horrible movie. And then I got to the point where it's like, I just want to watch it. Expectations can be such a weird thing because I went into it knowing it was going to be a bad movie, and then it just ended up being an okay movie. You know what I mean? Versus if I would have went into it thinking that it was going to be a good movie and then it was only an okay movie, I think that's where the disappointment would have came from, or the forgettability, right?
That's where I'm at with Matrix, honestly, because like I've seen IGN's review, I've seen other people give it like 4s and stuff like that. So I'm going into this movie with a very, very negative review. So I'm curious to see what my reaction is going to be.
Honestly, like I said, once you get past all the fucking video game and corporate bullshit or whatever, like they're trying to be super meta. Once you get past that and you actually get into the meat of the movie, I think that's good. You know, it's good, but it's not great, and so that's the problem, right? Is that this is the 4th movie, it should be great or whatever. And the spoilers or whatever, go back and watch this movie when you have to take your headphones off and just listen to what I have to say when you do end up watching it, because it's pretty funny. Anyways, so all right, so we went through our disappointments. Let's go through the greatest movies of the year. I feel like it goes without saying that Spider-Man No Way Home is the best movie of the year.
It's going to be both of our choices.
That's coming from a bunch of nerds. That's not coming from like movie snobs where it's like, well, the best acted movie was it's fucking No Way Home. No Way Home. So I do have an alternate that I'll talk about in a little bit, but let's just gush on Spider-Man for a little bit here because I think we both kind of talked about this. Mm-hmm. So one thing, if you haven't seen it, stop listening. Stop watching.
100%, 1,000,000,000%.
But I think the one thing me and you both talked about is that Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire, we both thought that it was just going to be like, okay, here they are at the very end, and they're going to do a fight scene.
To save the day.
Right. They just come and they just do a fight scene. That's it. But we actually got like character development from them. We got to see them be nerdy because they're in like a lab together doing sciencey stuff. We got to see them just joke around with each other, like, so your webs are organic, or like, oh, my back, you know, like things like that. And like, oh no, you're amazing. You're amazing. Look, listen, you're amazing. Like, just like the fact that there was so much more than what we both expected, I think just sets this over the edge. But let's pretend in an alternate universe that the other spiders, am I right? Let's go in an alternate universe where the other Spider-Man never even showed up. I would still say it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Because of the way they set up the villains, the way the whole Green Goblin thing went. Oh,
Tom Holland, another thing, he did such a stellar job, and I think this is the best performance he's given at Spider-Man so far, because the like going back and doing the Spider-Man rewatch prior to this, like I never was really high on Tom Holland's Spider-Man by itself, because yeah, he's the perfect Peter, but he is the perfect Peter. There's not really anything that stands out specifically. There's no, I guess, specific complexity to him so far as we had seen that makes him different. Like you've got, you know, Tobey Maguire, who's just fucking Tobey Maguire. I mean, there's that kind of just says itself. And then you've got Andrew Garfield, who had that kind of cool, different but dark mystique to it. He was
the hipster.
Yeah, but we also saw that he also had a darker side to him. He kind of made that present throughout, you know, the first two movies. And for it to to see his performance here and see how he handles basically real life stuff, because we've seen him live under Daddy Stark for the past couple years at this point.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
It was good to see. It was really good and really new and fresh to see him take on these, like seeing him cry on the top of the school. Like, yeah, you're right. If those Spider-Man weren't there, that whole scene by itself would have been just as powerful. Yes. But what was so perfect about No Way Home, and we'll talk specific. You're right. The movie itself, great fucking MCU movie, one of the best. But for the Spider-Men themselves, like you said, we thought that it was going to be this, you know, big action thing. The fact that we're meeting the Spider-Man that we've been wanting to see for years in Ned's grandmother's house, and MJ is saying, "Prove you're Spider-Man," and he's like, "What? Me hanging on the ceiling's not enough? Oh, hey, can you get the cobwebs? Yeah, sure. While I'm here." It's like this is what we've waited for since 2001. Like, how is this real life? And it's perfect. It's exactly what we want. And what's funny is going directly from Resurrections, like you were talking about, that's Disney and that's Marvel going, this is how you be meta. Because there was like everything, there was like the whole "you're amazing," that's perfect. The whole thing with his back is super inside joke meta, because the whole thing of him injuring his back during like Spider-Man 2. But
not only that, but that whole scene where he tries to do the jump, but then he's like, my back.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And with everything, like they were just able to give these references, and something that could have very easily been ham-fisted was totally not. But you're right, like how they were able to. I knew that Norman Osborn.
Let me give an example. In Matrix, when they make a reference, they literally show scenes from the other movies. Fucking dumb. Like when they did it here or there, that would have. But no, like. I would like to go through and actually time how much of the movie is just clips from the other fucking movies.
You should do that. You should do that sometime, because that would be funny. I think that would be funny.
That's too much work. I'd have to watch it again.
But yeah, how William Dafoe was able to make his Green Goblin performance better and make it that much more iconic, A, is a feat for William Dafoe him fucking self. Right. B, is just like, this was such a love letter to Spider-Man, and that's how it's shown. So yeah, you're right. That's going to be the obvious answer of what the best movie is going to be for the year overall. You have an alternate. You're going to be mad at me. I have two.
Of course. Go on.
Well, why don't you go? Why don't you go first?
Okay. Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Okay.
I mean, for one, it's a family show, so I was able to watch it with my kids. Absolutely great. But then it's like it was made by the same people who made Into the Spider-Verse. So I don't know if we're talking same writers or same, like, I know it was the same studio, obviously, but it's like I don't know if it was also the same writers, because even just like the humor and even the animation style was very reminiscent of Into the Spider-Verse. And the story itself is very much like, here's this kind of broken home and there's actual character development. So this very well could have just been like, oh, let's do some silly things and then robots show up, so we do more silly things and then the movie's over, right? But no, there was actual character development for all four members of the family. And it was just like, like, there is a list of movies that should be in an archive if you want to talk about making a movie, making a story, rather. You know what I mean? The actual art of storytelling. And this, I think, deserves to be in that archive.
Okay.
So that's the highest praise. Put along that just how fucking hilarious it is. Like pig, dog, loaf of bread.
We'll have to watch it, because I know that Little Man had picked that out or pointed that out the other day, and I know that you've talked about it before, and I've sang its praises. So that's one we'll definitely have to watch. Mine, I feel. So one, I feel like is a little bit cheating because it is also a superhero movie, but that's Suicide Squad, 100%.
Oh, I am so glad. You better not fucking say Justice League, because I will disown you. Suicide is okay.
Disowning?
It's actually a good movie.
Yeah, okay? I know. And it's not
I wasn't 4 hours of directorial bloat.
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to give it to Zach. I think
God.
The Snyder Cut is cool, and I do think, I will say, it does make the Justice League movie better, like the same way the Ultimate Cut does. But I will make the same argument: neither one of those fuckers should be 3 or 4 hours respectively. I'm sorry, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. They really shouldn't. But no, Suicide Squad. And that's because expectations were already high going into this, and this is one of those that we watched on HBO Max on our TV instead of going to the theater. And I wanted to go to the theater. If you know me, that's my preferred way of going. And so with a lot of these HBO Max releases, I wanted to see them in theaters, like the big ones like Dune and stuff like that. But anyway, James Gunn knocked it out of the park. I mean, it just, in one movie, perfected the Suicide Squad and pretty much gave us a new template going forward of what and how to do things. I mean, it's one that I'm very much excited to rewatch now that it's on HBO Max. Again, it kind of want us when we get through our other stuff, but it is the humor of it, the style of it. I mean, it was a brand new way that they did filmmaking with the way that they shot with those like handheld 4K like steady cams that they were using. And so it's kind of groundbreaking as a whole, but also just to see James Gunn fucking nail, maybe even more so, a like ensemble piece right out of the gate is just, it just gives him another notch in his fucking belt.
Yeah. I definitely feel like James Gunn is the most comfortable when he can have a rated R movie.
Agreed.
Do you remember Slither?
So Slither I haven't seen. I have seen the Belko Experiment. But
that's all I'll say. But Slither
I agree with
is
that.
a love letter to like 80s horror movies. That's what I'll say. Watch it. It's 100% worth it, and it's 100% James Gunn.
Yeah.
So when you can make a rated R James Gunn movie, that's where he's the most comfortable.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, like, I'm not going to say they're bad, but in comparison to Slither, in comparison to Suicide Squad, when he's able to just go and do what he wants to do, it's where he's the most comfortable, and it's where he does his best work, I think. You know, like, tell him your favorite part with freaking the Patriot guy. What's his name? Peacekeeper.
The one of my God. God, and then we talked about it during the review, but
hold on, go like this. There we go. Okay, it was unfocused. It's like, anyways, go on.
They're just going through the hut, which the whole scene where they go through the village and are killing everyone, and you're expecting it to be, yeah, oh, they're doing the right thing, and they're like, oh, hey, you guys just killed all of our good people, and it's like, oh shit, but just fucking Peacemaker just going through and so nonchalantly just just chopping up this guy and sleeping. It's like, you are right, James Gunn. His when he's unfiltered, it's some of his best work.
Yeah, definitely.
My other one is gonna be Cruella.
I don't know if that's worse or not of Justice League. Why?
So first off, what is your issue with Cruella?
It's dumb and it's forgettable as fuck.
I remember every single bit of that movie.
Yeah, because you're fucking weirdo doo-doo head.
Well, no, okay, so for my context of this, I have not seen the live action Mulan. I haven't seen any of the Disney live action stuff. I haven't seen Aladdin, seen none of that. And so this was pretty much my first one. And
have you seen the cartoons?
Yeah. Yeah. But what I was going to say is, like, I have never been a big fan of the Dalmatians. Like, I liked them as a kid, but like, I would always watch other Disney stuff instead of that. So I'm basically like, I don't give a fuck about this character going in. I'm pretty much going in blind. And I really enjoyed Emma Stone's performance. I really liked the story that they told. Now, also, I do like movies like Devil Wears Prada, so it does have a lot of DNA in there. It really does. But I thought it was really clever, and I thought that it was a really cool telling of that character.
I mean, no, but sure. Okay, I will admit one thing. If you completely forget what 101 Dalmatians is supposed to be about, which is a woman stealing a bunch of puppies to skin them alive and use their fur for a fucking coat. So if you forget all of that and the whole premise of who Cruella de Vil is, if you completely put that aside, yeah, it's an okay film. But that's who Cruella is. She's a mass murderer of puppies just to get a coat. A coat. Do you understand that? I'm not talking about a line of coats so that she could sell them and become rich. She wants a coat, and she steals 101 Dalmatians to make said coat. And then we go back in time, and that's who this person is supposed to be.
Dalmatian shouldn't have killed her mom. I don't know.
They didn't, though, and she actually befriended them, and she didn't even kill them. She faked killed them. She wore fake fur. Okay, she wore faux fur, which is a huge faux pas in the fashion world. If you wore something fake, it's a big faux pas. And then the dogs just fucking show up. The fact that she's actually friends with dogs, and that's like a character trait of hers, is that she's friends with dogs. And then we're supposed, 5 years past, and then she's like, I just feel like killing them all. Like,
look, as
it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
That's fair. That's a valid argument. I'm not going to deny that. For me, looking at this as like a solo movie, like solo experience, I enjoyed myself. You're probably going to be really mad at that I chose that over my other one as my honorable mention, though, now that I said that. Wrath of Man.
Oh, God. Yeah, Wrath of Man's good.
Yeah, Wrath of Man was one of those that was very much unexpected. It was just seeing Jason Statham and Guy Ritchie on a billboard. I was like, okay, cool. Like,
hell yeah,
that's all I really was in on it. And what was funny for me is I kind of watched this movie at a disadvantage, because when we went to go see it, we missed the very first 5 or 10 minutes of the movie.
Oh, God.
So I'm basically going into, I'm almost positive the first scene I see is him first applying to work at the...
Oh, God. Wow.
So I'm sitting here going like, I know this is a buildup for something. We missed something in the beginning, but it only took me like 40 minutes really kind of... I think it was when we had the first flashback with his son, I was able to go, okay, got it. I know what's going on.
Right.
But even at that disadvantage, I was entertained the entire fucking time. It was... it was one of those that it's another trend of Jason Statham doing not phenomenal movies, but doing much better movies. Like I remember seeing The Meg and being super impressed by his performance from previous movies. Like I'm like, that's a good Statham movie.
Yeah, and I liked the twist that he ended up being like this mob boss.
Yes.
I did not see that coming. I genuinely thought he was just going to be kind of average dad, and then he spent the next year like training himself. But no, like he's this big mob boss, and he went on this huge murder spree just to find these people. So then he basically like cut himself off from the mob world to then find his whole. And the fact that like halfway through we kind of switch perspectives, normally, honestly, that pisses me off. I'm like, guys, just tell me a story.
Yeah.
You know, like the whole thing from Rick and Morty where Morty's all like, I think stories should just start where they're supposed to start, you know? Tell a story, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very much that way. Like, I don't like it when they're like, they start a movie and then they go 5 months back. Like, I usually don't like that. But in this context, like, it really helped flesh out everything before that big climax.
Yeah. So...
yeah, that's definitely a good, definitely good honorable mention. Let's see if I have any honorable mentions. Real super quick, Encanto. It's on Disney Plus. It did come out to theaters as well. The main thing I'll say about this is that the last couple of Disney animated movies, and we're not talking about Disney Pixar to be clear, because people get those confused, especially Encanto.
There is a difference
since it's CG. So people are like Frozen, like I've literally had people say, oh yeah, Pixar made that. It's like, no.
Well, it's like no. Luca's a good example too. Like Luca's a Pixar movie, but it's kind of hard to so Encanto is a Disney movie. It's not a Pixar, because I thought it's not a Pixar. Thank you.
No, it's definitely not. So Encanto, but what I like about it so much is that the last couple of animated movies, you got like Frozen. You got Frozen 2. Those are about going on a journey, and it's supposed to be an epic telling, right?
Moana 2.
Moana. I was just about to say that. Yeah, Moana is this sweeping epic. Encanto literally takes place in the family home, and it rarely leaves it.
Cool.
Like, first off, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he does all the songs on it, and it shows. Like, you could have not told me that and I'd be like, this just feels like Lin-Manuel Miranda, because one, it's Encanto, so it's Latin. So it's like automatically I'd be like, I wonder if he had anything to do with this, and I would like Google it and, yep. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh, but yeah, most of it takes place in the one part of, or in this one thing. So it's a very intimate story. It's a very it takes, like, there's plenty going on, but it's just not this grand. It's really like introspective. And even something like Soul, that's the last Pixar one. Mm-hmm. Soul was also this kind of grand experience.
Yeah.
Whereas doing a story, a big budget CG story, and one, cutting it off so that it's only Latina people who are in the cast and who are making it. So that's the one thing that's probably like a risk. Like, I wouldn't personally call it a risk, but for Hollywood and like all the fucking white motherfuckers out there, right? So like that's a risk all of its own. But then setting it all in one area, not having this big grand adventure, that was a huge risk, I think. And my first watching, I noticed that, and I was just kind of like, I don't know. My daughter watched it again the next day, and then I was able to be like, you know what? I actually appreciate that about that.
Yeah.
You know, the songs are like freaking catchy as fuck too, so that doesn't hurt its purpose.
See, for me, I'm gonna go fresh into it 100% as a movie, as well as Lin-Manuel Miranda, because I am of the part of the populace of society where haven't seen Hamlet. I mean, like, I know who he is and I've seen his stuff, but like I'm not like, oh, I don't have this large appreciation for him just because I haven't seen as much of his work. So like the fact you just telling me that it's set in the home, like I'm in it by itself. And that is interesting. Like, and I'll ask you this, because I noticed it with Luca. Luca felt a lot more intimate as well when it came to the sake of the story, yes, it is.
Yeah,
You are a merman coming from the ocean to land, but it's pretty much following like him and his buddy and them just trying to be normal kids.
Yeah, that was a lot more kind of intimate
compared to Soul.
Compared to Soul. And then another thing I was going to bring up is the last Lin-Manuel Miranda movie that I can remember is called Vivo, which also I would say is up there. Maybe top 15, maybe not top 10, but it's within it. But it's called Vivo, and it's about this monkey. But even that being the last Lin-Manuel Miranda, movie, it's on Netflix, by the way. Even that one is very grand in scope. He goes on a big adventure. He goes across he was in Mexico and he goes to New Orleans, and then he goes on this big adventure from one side of the New Orleans to the bayous to the, you know what I mean? So it's like it's this big adventure. So to go from Vivo to go from what was the other one we literally... Oh, Luca, or Moana, or all these things with these big, grand adventures, and to just basically be like, no, we're looking at a family and the family dynamics and the interplay between them, and really, like, existential crisis.
Yeah.
This is not a end of the world crisis. This family is broken. They don't know it, but they do know it, but they don't know it. And like that kind of introspective look into a family or whatever was just like, oh my God. I'd say Encanto is probably very close as far as like it goes, Mitchells and the Machines and Encanto, because it is just so good. And like this could be turned into a musical, and they wouldn't have to change that much. Like a stage musical, it could be turned into that, and they wouldn't have to change that much, because it's like it's already set up that way. There's really only one setting, and they could just change the dressing or whatever, and it could be a stage musical. And being that it's Lin-Manuel Miranda, there you go. Like I could definitely see this. Like I think Coco got turned into a musical, and I'm just like, what? Like there's so much, like they're in the land of the dead and it's all like pretty and stuff. It's like, how do you turn that into a musical or into a stage musical? I mean, you could, and but point being, anyways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are all our personal favorites of the year. Did you have any more? Sorry, you took a breath. How dare you?
I'm sorry for my breath. No, I didn't really have. So I will. Well, hold on. We'll pause for a second. There was something I wanted to say. I don't know if we should put it at the beginning or here, but I'll go ahead and say it and I'll let you decide. Okay. One thing for me that I will say is there were a lot of movies this year that I wanted to see that I wholeheartedly just didn't get around to. Good example being like Don't Breathe 2, Mortal Kombat, stuff like that. So, with a lot of my picks, those are the stuff that I have seen, and if I would have seen other of these, that they might be higher, but just know that going into my opinion, there's a lot of these other movies that I have not seen.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, this list is a very us list.
It is.
Like people
Free Guy's another one. I figure I would have loved Free Guy, but I just didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't like it?
Oh, I didn't see it. Oh,
you just haven't seen it. Okay, gotcha. But yeah, like a lot of people might have put like Dune. I think like Jeremy John, he put Dune right up at the top or whatever, and it's just like I liked it, but it's like this is a very us list because we're just a bunch of fucking dorks, and like we like things like Devil Wears Prada, so that's the reason Corella's on your list. Like I like Devil Wears Prada too, but also I know what the fuck Corella. We're not getting into that. But this is a very us list or whatever. So if you like us, then you should love this list. But we want to know what your list is. Good. Delicioso. All right. So anyways, thank you guys so much. This is probably going to be the last one of the year. So we're going to take a few days off, and then we're going to be getting right back into things. January, we have some ideas for like movies we're going to review, and we're going to start streaming a little bit more. And then towards the end, we're going to be starting our brand new podcast project. And that project is Rumbleverse Radio. If you've heard of Rumbleverse, it was at the Video Game Awards, and it was just this trailer. Honestly, I saw the trailer and I was like, oh yeah, that looks cool. And then I saw it on the PlayStation Network, and it was like $19.99. And I'm like, oh, is that out? Okay, whatever. So I looked at some footage of it, and I fell in love because I'm like, okay, so this is Battle Royale, but wrestling? We're going to wrestle each other? And the more I watched it, the more I was like, okay, this could be the next project. So we're going to be doing it, and we're not going to be doing it as Nick and Nate. We're going to be doing it as like wrestling characters. So I've got myself a nice little not loincloth. I keep saying it that way. I got myself a nice like blue leotard, and I'm going to have a freaking Lucho mask on. Nate's gonna have like some like flannel shirt and suspenders, and he's gonna be like the hipster lumberjack. It's gonna be super fun. Picture Apex Legends, but if we just are a bunch of doofy ass characters, and that's pretty much what the podcast is gonna be. So you're gonna get somewhat the same old like information, but just presented in a very fun and lighthearted way, basically. So I'm really looking forward to that. The game might end up sucking, and so maybe there'll only be like 5 episodes, but I'm still having fun with it. You know what I mean? Like I can't wait. So, but yeah, that is the end of the year. That is the end of the show. I was Nick,
and I was Nate,
and you guys have yourself just a great New Year's and a happy new. Wait. Shit.